Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Hey, welcome today. We have Skyler Lewis. We're we're probably going to go into business, but mindset and all sorts of other stuff. You know what? Let's just have Skyler take it away from here.
Awesome, brother. Happy to be on the show. Grateful whenever I get to share my story and to support other people on their journey of getting to the next level. So
awesome. So then I was doing a little research on you and your website. So tell me about your up and coming story.
Yeah. So, dude, I have so many interesting stories about just kind of where I came from and some of the challenges. I've had a lot of battles and some things that haven't gone the best. I would say. And so, a big part of my story, man, is growing up. I remember, I grew up in a little bit of a lower class neighborhood, you could say. So I grew up in like a 700 square foot mobile home. And I remember as a kid, I was probably 12 years old. I would go sneak over to the apartment complexes next door. And I would go jumping in the jacuzzi like late at night. I'd sneak out and go late at night and just sit there just thinking about the success that I would hopefully create in my life. Mm-hmm. And I remember just literally sitting in the jacuzzi or the spa and just looking up at the stars and like, man, I hope my life looks different. I hope I'm able to create that level of success. And so I feel like early on, dude, I've always had that drive to build businesses, to succeed, a lot of it came from trying to prove myself. I realized, which got me only so far. And so I've just been an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 12. Started doing like lawn care and like house cleaning, and eventually got into a high school where I sold candy to kids right before lunch. I'd go buy like Little Debbie's, and I got them wholesale from Smart and Final, all these little cupcakes and Twinkies and all that stuff. And then I would get other kids to sell them for me. So I brought them back in duffel bags. And then I would go bring them in the morning before school. They would all grab their duffel bag with their candy in it and their treats. And then they'd come back with all the money, and I'd give them their split. So I was always kind of just figuring out ways to make money. And I think I just like influencing people and like making a difference and like helping them out was a big part of it. So yeah, I probably started about 12 different businesses by the time I was 20 years old.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. Funny how you said the Little Debbie's. For me in my high school, they banned soda at a certain point. They were just like no soda at all. So me and this one guy, because I never used my locker anyways, so he'd give me like, because he'd sell like 3,000 cans of soda a day. He's like, so $100, can I have your locker for the day? And so that was my thing. It's just like, sure, I'm not using it anyways. Might as well make money off it.
Wow. 3,000 cans of soda a day.
And he sold them at $2 and he bought them at $1.
Wow. I love it, man. He's killing it.
He was. And then, cause the teachers, wanted the caffeine because Monsters were banned. So he's like, he'd buy it for his $2.50 and sell it to them for $5.
Energy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. They banned a lot of that stuff, huh? A lot of the sugar and all the crap, which is a good thing, man. My kids get too much sugar at school right now. So I have a 5 and 8 year old, and they're like yesterday, my son was like, yeah, Dad, I had sugar Thursday, I had sugar Friday, I had sugar Monday, I had sugar Tuesday, I had sugar Wednesday. I'm like, dude, why are you telling me that? He's like, I had candy each day. They keep giving me candy. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but I'm gonna have to talk to the teachers because I don't want you all hyped up on sugar the whole time while you're at school.
If you're gonna be all hocked up, at least go run laps, kind of thing.
100%, yeah. They're hyped up sitting in their seat, wondering why they're fidgeting all the time, right? They're pumped full of sugar, man. Creating that sugar addiction early on. It took me too many years to fight that craving. It's still challenging.
It's powerful. It's up there with cocaine.
Yeah. I stopped. I've been sugar free for almost about a month now. So I'm doing no sugar at all. I just can't. It messes with my mind. It puts me in little funks. It's just not a good, it's not ideal. So I'm going to cut it out for longer term period of time.
Yeah. Also, it's much healthier and you can burn more body fat that way. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the businesses, because you said your profile says you have 3 multi-million-dollar businesses?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a one we no longer have anymore, or we've switched it. So my two main businesses right now are Superior Restoration. It's a water and fire restoration company that I started
Okay.
about 11 years ago. We have about 40 employees. I have a general manager that runs that. I have my whole management team that is involved in running the whole company. And so that does like right around a little over 10 million a year. And I go there about 1 day a week right now. And so I've been doing that for the last one day a week for the last year and a half, and then 2 days a week for the previous 4 years. So it runs so well. So that's what I teach. I teach men and women how to scale their businesses. How do you scale your businesses and like systemize them so that they don't require your time or your effort, and you can work on the business instead of in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that business, and then I have Rise Up Kings, which is my passion, which is where I spend most of my time right now, just developing that and coaching men and helping them really reach their potential as men and their families and their businesses and their faith with God and in their fitness and their the way they take care of their bodies. So I love that. That's my calling. That's what I believe God wants me to do.
Wonderful. That's good that you can now, especially with your entrepreneur experience, figure out how to actually do it too.
Yep.
So I'm curious, when you say you pretty much just have that one whole business on fully automated, you just come in once a week. As I've listened to different entrepreneurs, they say you live at your work now. So it's like, now I'm hearing something different. It's like, how does this work? How do you vet your employees, kind of thing?
Yeah. So the Gary V kind of conversation is just work, 12 hours a day, make it happen. Right. So I have a different perspective on that. I really believe that balance is important, especially if you have a family and you have kids and you have a wife that you actually, you care about, which you hopefully should.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, so yeah, I mean, part of the deal is like, there's a couple pieces of the puzzle. So one piece of getting a business to operate on its own is through having the right people, right? Having A players, because you have A, B, and C players. So having A players that are efficient, that are independent, that are thinkers, that can do a lot of work on their own, that don't need motivation. So having a team of A players, and then having processes under an entire system inside your business that run the machine. So I kind of see businesses as a machine. You have all these different processes, right? For your podcast, you're going to have an email that goes out to confirm the guests. You're going to have the outreach to guests. You're going to have this thing. You're going to have the video after and editing and posting and all of that. So those are all processes within your the podcast. And so how do you get those to all run like a machine and all be systematic to where there's no breaks in the processes? And so that's what we teach and that's the way that's the mindset we should have as entrepreneurs, is how do I turn something that normally wouldn't be a process into a process, like editing a video or posting it on Buzzsprout or wherever you post your iTunes, or how you're doing it. How do I turn that into a full automated process that doesn't need me anymore? And so that's what we should always be thinking. Any manual email that you write, how do you make that automatic, or how do you make it more systematic? So it doesn't require these manual emails. So my mind's always thinking about that, like every day. Anything I do where it's like, how do I make this more automatic?
No, that's the biggest one for me. Is when I started this earlier the year, I was handwriting everything. And then at a certain point, one of my guests is like, why don't you just like pay like $100 for the year and just get this service and automate everything for you? And I'm like, brilliant. Then it's the same thing. It's like transcripts and all that. And that's the biggest thing for me now. It's just, I have like a whole, like you said, a step by step. And I realized, okay, now I'm at that point, I can literally write a list and give it to someone and say, now this is what you do. And I pay you for the month of whatever percent.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's a key piece of scaling businesses for sure.
And it is. And it's just the biggest part. And I'd love to hear your perspective, because I see it a lot. How do you, that's why I asked the vetting question. When you have an A player, but maybe they're really good at keeping up a persona for like 6 months, so you think they're this, but they may have a nefarious plan. How do you vet that part out of them?
Yeah, that's tough, dude. That's tough. So I had a situation early on where I had an employee. She was my office manager, and I trusted her, but I didn't trust her 100%. So I trusted her, maybe call it 90, 95%. Like there was something about her I didn't fully get or understand, or there was just a gap in just how she showed up. And so we kept her on board too long, and she ended up embezzling a ton of money from us and taking a bunch of money, and it ended up going really south. And I look back on that, I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't have kept anybody on the team that I didn't fully trust. So that's one nugget you got to do, is you got to make sure you never have anybody on your team that you're like, would I trust them in my bank account, right? Would I trust them with my kids? Like if it's a yes, then keep them on board. But if there's something off about them, then I would move on from that person. So there's that. And then you can't really tell, like A players. I mean, you can tell proper interviewing is a critical piece, right? Doing personality profiles. We use DISC. Having 2 or 3 interview processes. Like there's a proper way to interview people and really vet whether or not they're an A player. And then hopefully they're an A player. You can't make it perfect each time. So eventually you'll find out whether or not they were really an A player or not. So you just have to do your best due diligence up front.
Interesting. So you use DISC. I hear that a lot. Is it because it's mainly cheap, or is it?
The one we use is about like $100 a profile. So they're a little bit more expensive. It's more comprehensive. So no, I love DISC. It just, I understand personality types. Like I know your personality type based on how well I know these profiles. I can look and talk to somebody and I'll know if they're a high D or a low D or a high S or a low S, or where they rank on this scale. And it allows me to be able to effectively communicate to them and work with them based on their personality. So as an example, if you want to hire somebody to do your podcast or somebody to do your detailed work, but they're a high I, which is like a hardcore, like people person, energetic, charismatic, their minds work differently than an analytical, detailed, administrative type person. So you want somebody high C. That a high C person is like detail oriented. A high I is more people and more charismatic. You don't usually want the more charismatic. The more charismatic people are not usually the most detailed people. They're more. It's just the way it is. So like, yeah. So like you got to have a mix of those people on your team. All right, the high I's, the influencers, and then you got to have the more compliance based people. Interesting.
So last time I took a DISC test, it said I was a high C and then like a close second for a D.
Close second for a D. Okay. Yeah. So that would mean you typically like follow. So what it normally means is you like a little bit more structure, and you like to kind of follow you're more of a rule follower is what a high C means. Okay. If you take the test properly, meaning you're not going to go break all the processes. Like you're kind of like, you like to do things a certain way, as opposed to just free flowing with everything. Like you might like to, hey, I want to have a checklist for this thing. Like, so that's the way high C's typically work. And then a high D is somebody that's very, So it's a mix, man. It's really interesting. So that's a key part of interviewing is understanding and doing these profiles to really check in and see which profiles work the best for you too.
Okay.
Yep.
So on top of personality type, whether it's Myers-Briggs or DISC, what else do you do? Is it like, when they come in for an interview, do you have like a book on the floor to see if they pick it up kind of thing?
No, I don't do any little things like that. I basically just check in to see how well they interact with me and the team. Are they looking at me in the eyes? Are they shaking my hand with a solid handshake? And then I just dig deep in the interviews. Hey, I like to ask a lot about how their last job was. Hey, so tell me a little bit about your last job. Like what worked, what didn't work? Well, I had this boss that, he had too high of expectations. Okay, cool. And then I'll dig into that. And then I'll say, hey, what about your let's talk about your boss from your previous the job before that. How'd that one go? Oh, well, kind of same thing. The boss was really aggressive. He asked for a lot. It's like, okay, there's a common theme here. Everybody is asking too much of you. It's probably you. So I like to dig deep and find these common threads that weave throughout their job history, that I can tell whether or not this is going to be a good fit with my company. So because I'm going to hold a high standard. So I can't have somebody that gets turned off when I hold a high standard to them, right? So I need somebody that can take it, not be too soft. So I know that. So I'm looking for that. Knowing my personality, like I'm kind of a high D. I like to be on it. I need somebody that's not going to go into a shell when somebody's asking them to do things. So I'm going to dig deep and ask questions related to that. Hey, so tell me about a time when your boss, like, was your boss more aggressive or was he too easygoing? Tell me about that. And I'll see what their mindset is around these different topics. And then I'll come to my conclusion on whether or not they're like a good fit or not.
Interesting. So I'm curious, being especially how high of a D of a function you are, can a handshake for you make or break the whole interview? You just do it, but you just like, no, they didn't pass.
Depends on the role. If it's an accounting person, they don't need a solid handshake. Right, okay, my accounting or CPA person. But if it's, I interviewed a business development rep Tuesday, and her handshake was really weak. It was like a fish. She was like, it was really terrible. Weak. Yeah, for a business development salesperson, I'm like, that was a turnoff. Right, I want somebody that has a strong presence that can hold their own in meetings and in-person events. So so a handshake, it depends on the role. So if I want my general manager to have a great handshake. I want my business development sales rep to have a good handshake. Now a customer service rep, not necessary.
At least hold firm, but you don't have to be a spineless, but don't have to be too dominant kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, my martial arts instructor, when I was actually teaching martial arts, and he was trying to go like an hour explaining handshakes. He's like, if they hold still, that means they'll fight for what they believe in, but they're not going to bend for you or bend for someone else kind of thing. He's like, if they do this, they'll just roll over for anyone. If they do this, they're going to control everything.
Interesting. I like that way of looking at it. Have you found that to be accurate?
Pretty damn accurate.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I love that. I love looking at body signs and body language and seeing like what, being able to read people, man, it's a powerful skill to see and understand people, because then you get to know how to effectively work with them or not work with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the biggest one for me. And because then this crazy guy came in, thought we stole his kid, but it was just a student. And I guess he staged the whole thing. But essentially, he said, "Oh, there's a fourth handshake, but no one really talks about it." He's like, "So the hands down and they cup yours. That means you're not allowed to leave. They truly control everything now." And I'm like, so when he shook in my hand, he did the same thing. And I'm like, all right, well, now I get it, kind of thing.
Interesting. What are you working on?
As far as the business?
Yeah.
The podcast, I was teaching myself how to embroider and do like stickers to make some extra income.
Yeah.
I did not realize how cutthroat the industry was. So I'm like, I'm going to work on something else. But yeah, I'm just saving up. I've really been studying like trading and investing.
Yep.
Kind of thing. But it's at that point, I can't really say it's a business because I haven't really made money yet.
Yeah, that's neat, man. You're a young entrepreneur. I love it. I love talking to guys that are kind of just starting out, kind of just figuring things out and supporting them. And it's neat. It's a fun adventure, man. Entrepreneurship is a wild ride, but it's a lot of fun. Requires some mental toughness. So I'm glad you're in martial arts because you understand mental toughness and pain and discomfort. And people that typically do martial arts or are in the military are usually more mentally tough than the average human being. So you have that benefit towards you. And I think the biggest thing, dude, is if you want to be successful, is being around like-minded entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs, like really getting around them, being around them, getting rid of your old friends. I'm just going to be direct. If they're not serving you and they're not helping you become better, the time to move on from them. So don't waste time with people, and then go make some friends. Go make some friends that are where you want to be, and really take time to like reach out and connect with people that way. So that's like I'm going to write a book on that eventually. It's around how we adapt. Our bodies are naturally built to adapt to our surroundings. So if you go to the Antarctic, right, eventually your body will start to adapt and to get used to cold. And then you go to Texas, it'll be really hot, and so you can switch. Your body's built from a temperature perspective to be able to adapt.
Right.
Now, also psychologically, If you're in an abusive relationship for a long time, you'll get used to the abuse and it won't affect you as much. If you are around negative people, you'll eventually hold on to some of that negativity. If you're around really successful people, their mindsets will eventually rub off on you, their behaviors, their habits. Are they waking up early? Do they go to the gym every day? If you're hanging out and you're really close friends with them, the habits will rub off on you. So it's a powerful part of the way that God made us is we adapt to everything, any environment that we're put into. So if that's the case, we have to be crazy diligent about the people we hang out with and really intentional with it. And so like going out of your way. I once, I had this guy that owned a really large restoration company. He was a part of this, my church, and I knew who he was. And I was in this Bible study, and I eventually heard that he was in this other Bible study. So I literally went out of my way. I found a way to get into his Bible study. I started to make friends with him, and I eventually asked him to be my mentor. So I left my Bible. I literally was laser focused. I'm going to get to know this guy, and I'm going to go out of my way. Even if he rejects me, I'm still going to go after him and learn how to be his friend. And now he's one of my best mentors and really good friends. So I highly recommend your associations are literally everything. So who is your top 2 or 3 people you hang out with? If they're not where you want to be business-wise, mentality, marriage-wise, time to move on from those people. But I think for you, Josh, think of in your head, who are the top 1 or 2 people that you hang out with the most, that even your family members, right? If you hang out with your family members the most, who are those top people? And are they causing you to level up? Are they causing you to really get to the next level? So that's a really critical conversation I think most people should check in with and have regularly.
That's interesting. Yeah, I work night shift, so I predominantly don't really get to hang out with many, but my parents, and then I have actually a buddy next week. It's just mainly because of Corona week, he wants to gather, but he's a very negative person, not an entrepreneur at all, kind of thing. So
so you got to start hanging out with different people if you want to be different. That's the deal, period.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing I joke with my guests on other shows. It's other than this, I don't actually interact with people. So I said, I know I'm getting more successful because I keep talking to successful people, kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, but now it's time to level up. I'm going to challenge you, man.
All right.
Go make some new friends that are who you want to be, or some new mentors that you talk with regularly, weekly.
Okay. I actually have been working with a guy named John. He's all about online marketing and how to successfully rank for high scale businesses. And he's I make stupid money every month. He's it's so much that I don't even know what to do with it anymore. And that's where I'm dude, I want to be like you then. It's if I decide to disappear for a month, it doesn't matter. The business is running itself.
Yep. So yeah, spending more time with him and say, hey, can we grab lunch once a week?
Okay.
Right. Hey, can we do this? And so you need a couple of those people that you can connect with that will help you level up. I guarantee you there's people in the community that are successful that you're in, that if you asked them and you say, hey, can we grab lunch once a week? Can we grab coffee once a week? Can we do this? And eventually try to become friends with them. You have to be very intentional with that. That's going to be the key to your success. It's not podcasts. It's not this, not that. It's not learning. It's not any of that. It's being around people that have different mindsets that will allow you to level up.
Okay. I'll do that. Thank you. I know we have a time frame, so I have a few going out questions for you.
Perfect. So
the first one is, during these lockdown times, other than work, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy? Amazon, podcasting, etc.
Well, I haven't been on lockdown since even the lockdown happened. So I've been out doing my own thing, man, going and working out here. I bought a bunch of gym equipment. I still going out to lunch and dinners with people. So I'm still operating as normal. So I'm
other than the mask part for you. Let's say other than wearing masks for you.
Yeah, well, I don't really wear masks either. I'll fight it if I have to, because coronavirus is definitely deadly. However, I'm in a place of health. I actually couldn't get it. I tried to get it. My wife got it. She was fine, but she got sick, but she was totally fine. But I tried to get it from her, and I wasn't able to get it. So maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But so I'm not as concerned with the coronavirus. Some people need to be really concerned, though, about those type of things because they have health issues or other challenges that they may need to be aware of. So as far as me, it doesn't affect me. And I got tested 3 different times. I have never had it either. So I'm still doing life as normal.
Awesome. That's actually your first I've heard. So what are some tips and tricks for someone aspiring to be like you, running 2 successful businesses, low maintenance? What are the tips and tricks you would tell them?
Tips and tricks. I would say most important, first is associations. Go find some people that you can start to be around. That's critical. Second thing is morning routine. You have to get up at the same time and you have to build a morning routine and have some accountability around it. If you have a hard time waking up early, so I get up at 4 a.m., people get up at 5 or you can get up at 6 or whatever it looks like. But have a consistent morning or nighttime routine that you do every single day. So that's a critical piece of being consistent and kind of being disciplined. And the third thing, it really should be first, but for those people that are believers, like faith is a critical component of my daily routine. Reading the Bible, staying in the Word, growing closer to God is like a huge part of what I do that allows me to it just gives me strength that I wouldn't normally have. Like knowing that I'm not just on this planet by myself, but there's a purpose of why I'm here. Because otherwise I would just go, I don't know, probably on drugs or something if there was no purpose to life. So that really helps. And then, just constantly reading, dude, reading books, listening to podcasts, I think is something that's really good to do on a regular basis.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Skyler. Is there any places, people can reach out to you, be like, hey, I heard you on the show, or sign up for your services? Yeah.
So, riseupkings.com. And then, people can follow me on social media, which is where I post a lot of content. And it's on Skyler, Skylar, Lewis, Lewis. That's my name. And if you search that, it should pull up.
Wonderful. And I'll also send you an email in about an hour to get all that information for the description. Thank you again. Is it cool in the future I book you again?
Dude, I'm crazy busy right now. I'd love to, but I am I'm surprised we even got this scheduled. Because I had to cancel some other ones because I'm so busy. But maybe in the future, maybe sometime down the road.
Perfect. Then I can also follow up with you and see how different I got. Thank you again, Skyler.
I expect massive change. If we ever do talk again, if you're the same person, I'm going to hang up and not even say anything. I'm not even kidding.
Deal.
I'm not even kidding. So if you're the same person, I expect you to evolve and grow. My goal is that I'm someone different every year. So each year that goes by, I should be different. I should have different confidence. I should have different skills. I should be totally different each year. So that's my expectation, brother.
Wonderful. Thank you, Skyler. Stay safe and stay well.
Awesome, brother.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome and see you next time.